Welcome to Kick Him in the Head, a podcast that takes an inside look at the world of mixed martial arts, featuring interviews from some of the top fighters from South Africa and around the world, with a focus on the EFC and UFC promotions. I'm your host, Yao. Join us as we delve deep into the techniques, strategies, and mindsets of these world-class athletes, learning from their experiences and getting insights into what it takes to succeed in the toughest sport on earth. Welcome everyone to the Kick in the Head podcast. I'm your host, Yao. We're having a really late episode today. Today we are starting at 12:30 South African time, but we had to do this episode because on Thursday, 11th of July, is EFC 115, and I am just so excited. This card is absolutely stacked. I think, look, let's just get right into it. I mean, we need to talk about so many fights. I mean, the title fight here, the co-main event, geez, the prelims, fantastic. Let's see. Hey, why aren't you on the screen? There we have it. So, getting into the fights. The last fight of the night, we are looking at Igor Smiley Cabeza against Humphrey King Cobra Mulenga. Now, you can't really see it here, but Humphrey Mulenga is an absolute giant. The guy is about 6 foot, I think he's 5'11", towers over Smiley, and this fight is just going to be absolutely fantastic. It's for the lightweight title. It's Smiley's first defense at lightweight, and we saw what he did to Block. Kabanda. We saw how he took him down and he submitted him. And Block is a very, very powerful fighter. And if Smiley could do that to him, we could easily say that he could do that to Humphrey. Now, if we look at it, who is Smiley? Igor Smiley Cabeza, the current lightweight champion of the EFC and the current featherweight champion of the EFC. So he's the current double champ. He's defending his first belt now. He wants to defend later in the year. We spoke to him earlier this week. If you want to hear everything he said, go onto our channel. You can find it there on YouTube. But his record is currently 18-2. He's had 20 fights at professional level. He's won 18 of those fights, most of them by submission or knockout. Of those two, he recently faced Naldo Exum, someone who had given him a loss, and he beat him very, very convincingly. Now, if you look at his current winning streak of 6 wins, I mean, Smiley is literally the complete package. He has beaten everyone they put in front of him. Vince Bembe, he's beaten everyone they put in front of him convincingly. Let's see what he can do. Wrestling Jiu-Jitsu against an unknown assailant, in this instance, in the form of Humphrey King Cobra Mulenga. Now, Humphrey's currently sitting on 6-1 record. And like I said, this guy is an absolute unit. He is like... the intensity that comes off this man. I chat with him regularly at the EFC events every time he's there. Very nice guy, but the focus that he has on this fight, the focus that he has to get this title is just, it's scary. If you watch any of the interviews, the interview he had at EFC 114 in the post-fight press conference, the interview he had yesterday at the presser, if you look at the intensity on his face, when you meet him in person, he is absolutely oozing it. And what he brings to the table here is not just power. He also brings skill. Fighting out of Ulemo in Zambia, he comes from a very hard background. These guys started training themselves and they've gotten to the highest level. Him and another fighter on this card. We'll get to him later. But if you look at him on a current 5-fight win streak, 4-0 in the EFC, I don't know. This fight is just going to be an absolute bomb burner. EFC Worldwide, that's where you can watch this fight, but I'm really looking forward to this fight. This is the main fight. Co-main event, we have Anthony Biggie Morrell versus Joffrey Holton. Now, this fight came out of nowhere. If I think back to EFC 114 at the presser, I asked Graham Cartmel, the matchmaker, what's going on with the heavyweight title? When are we going to see a heavyweight fight? Because the former champion, well, now former, at that point we didn't know, but now former champion Triple H Power Jikasa had been an errand champion. He wasn't there. And Graham said, hey, listen, calm down. We've got something coming. And what they've done on this card with regards to the heavyweight division, the EFC, is honestly, I'm looking forward to the heavyweight division, the EFC. They brought in a lot of fresh faces, and starting with Big Morrell, Anthony Big Morrell, and Joffrey Holton. Now, Joffrey's never fought in the EFC before. He's from UK. He trains with Tom Aspinall, and he's looking to go up against this man, Anthony Big Morrell, currently 4-0. Born in France, fighting primarily in Hexagon out in France, but he's from the Reunion Islands, La Réunion. Heavyweight fighter. He fought out in EFC recently, and I said this the last time I was on the show, he threw the most amazing suplex on another heavyweight, on Sholto. He just grabbed him, wiggled his hips, and flipped him over. Perfect German suplex. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him back in the Hex, because the skill that he brings is just, it's exciting. He's a quick, big heavyweight. He's got the power. Oh, very, very exciting. The man he's going up against, as I said, he's a 5-3 fighter, fighting at the same gym as Tom Aspinall. And very interestingly, he has the record for the fastest knockout in, I think it's Cage Warriors, which is 9 seconds. He has a 9-second knockout. So we're taking the suplex machine in Morrell versus the knockout machine in Holton, putting that together. And, I think this is definitely going to be a good showcase to say that the EFC's heavyweight division is back on track. It's a division worth watching. And if you're a fighter anywhere in the world looking for heavyweight competition, come to the EFC, come to South Africa, come down the road from this. Let's go. Now, the rest of the main card, we have a few interesting fights. We have Edson Machabani versus Saladin Plaikis. Now, that's an interesting matchup. Machabani's 4-0 currently. Plaikis is 3-3. So we'll see what the odds have to say, but that's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. The next fight we have is Billy the Kid Oosthuizen versus Sibusiso Sombendle. This fight, I'm really looking forward to. Billy the Kid is back. He's hungry. He recently had a loss against Simbarasha Hokonya in the featherweight Grand Prix, so he's hungry to get back in the winning column. We've got a very hungry, undefeated Sibusiso Sombendle looking to tear up the featherweight division. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Then we have another heavyweight fight, and like I said, on this card, the EFC has said, listen, our heavyweight division is back on track. We are putting the fights back together. And that's why this episode is called Heavyweight Mayhem, because we haven't seen heavyweight fights in the EFC in a while. No, okay, no, I'm wrong. We have seen a few, but we haven't seen any high-level heavyweight fights, ones that could start looking at number one contenders for the title, of which now we've got a title fight, but they'll need to have someone to fight against. So they're building up the competition, which is great. So here's another heavyweight fight on the card. Now, I need everyone watching just to imagine that there are faces there. Imagine that each name has a face. Unfortunately, we didn't get the faces in for this one, but on the prelims, the fights that we have here, there's quite a few good fights, starting with Watlobwane versus Vilakazi, Kelvin Smith versus David Makani. We've got Tepu Majuba versus Rian Dunn. We've got Christopher Matukane versus Sia Nomvemve, although I'm not sure if that fight is happening. That fight was announced about 2-3 weeks ago, and then I think about a week building up to this fight card, to this fight night, suddenly everything just disappeared, but it's still registered on the EFC website and on World Sport Betting as a fight. So I think that fight might still be on, but I'm not 100% sure. Then we've got Guy Moyo versus Patrick Ocheme. Yeah. Then we've got Intanda the Zulu Warrior, Zondi, my man, fighting versus Becky Noble. Then we've got Toisa Sekuletu, that fighter that I was talking about, that fights out of Zambia, Ulemu Gym, with Humphrey Mulenga, is Ken Sekuletu. Now, Ken has also been absolutely tearing up the EFC, and that fight, we'll get to it later, but that fight is one definitely to watch out for. But Where I want to, the fight I want to spotlight, it's very specifically Ntando Zondi, the Zulu warrior. Now, he's a good friend of the show. Absolutely love him. If you've ever watched the show, you know that we talk about him consistently, his work rate. And at the last EFC, he didn't get the fight because his opponent was no show. Now he's getting the opportunity to go against Becky Noble, which I think is a very, very good matchup stylistically and in terms of experience. Becky's fairly experienced in the EFC. He's got three wins, 2 losses, and we've got Ntando coming in with his 1 victory in the EFC so far on his debut. The skill that Ntando showed in that fight versus the experience that Becky has, I think makes for a very, very good fight. And I definitely want to spotlight that fight in the prelims. Of course, the other fights are very good. I mean, you've got Chris Savage Matukane going up against the Chef. Let's cook it up, Chef. Absolutely love the Chef. So if that fight is on, I'm really, really looking forward to that fight. Last time I saw Chris Matukane was up at Bare Knuckle Boxing. Shout out to Titan Bare Knuckle. Definitely looking to going back to Titan Bare Knuckle. The next one I think is this July sometime. Absolutely savage stuff. But yeah, Savage Chris Matukane was at the last one. That's the last time I saw him. So I'm looking forward to that fight. Then, I mean, Kelvin Smith, the Smith twins, Smith brothers, Joel Smith. Check out their channel. They're on Strikes and Strangles on YouTube. Absolutely fantastic content. So very interesting fight card. But looking at all the odds, there's quite a few interesting odds here. All these odds here essentially have quite a few lopsided fights where we pretty much know who's going to win. But there's a few that could go either way and a few that I would definitely pick for my fight of the night. Now, if you're having a look at these odds, just note that these odds are as per the World Sport Betting odds. Today, Tuesday, Tuesday, 9 July, 10 p.m. South African time. Now, with that said, if we're having a look at these odds, I think there's a few fights that we need to watch. The first fight, once again, Ntando Zondi versus Becky Noble. Why? Because if we look at the money there, either way you go, if Ntando wins, you make good money there. If Becky wins, you can make good money there. So it's very, very good on the margins. It's very, very good stylistically. It's very, very good. I think it's the most well-rounded fight on the prelims, at least. Definitely the most well-rounded fight, and one of my fights to watch out for tonight, on the night. Now, the other fights. And now, this is more in terms of the odds. If you look at the ones highlighted in red, we've got quite a few fights that have very, very high odds that if you play the right margins, you could get it. Now, if you look at Justin Clark versus Boyka Kabangu, that one has Kabangu at 6.5. Now, I've seen him fight. In his first fight, he gassed himself. He was winning the fight. He gassed himself. Ref didn't stop the fight, and then he got ground and pound. Now, his second fight, he managed to get through, but 6-5 is really heavy. I would put some money on him to win because with odds like that, you'd expect to then have Justin Clark be finishing the fight quick, meaning if you put money on Justin Clark finishing the fight in the first round, you'll make some good money. Or if you put a little bit of money on Boyka to win at all, you make some really good money. So that's a very, very interesting fight with such high odds. Now, interestingly enough, the other fight with very, very high odds, or very, very big gap between the odds, is the title fight between Iku Kubesa and Humphrey Malenga. Now, that's strange because of everything I've said and everything that's been said of Humphrey Malenga, the odds do understand that Humphrey Malenga is 4-0 in the EFC. Smiley, the GOAT, is 18-2. And that experience gap, that chasm of an experience gap, I think is what's driving the odds to be so skewed in the favor of Cabeza. But once again, same thing as with the Boyka fight. If you're looking to make some money, put it down. If the odds are that good, put it down for Smiley to take it in the first by submission, there's some good money there, or just put a little bit of money on Humphrey to win. Either way, good money. So those are a few of the odds that you could play there. The other fights is Rian Dan versus Tepo Majuba. Rian Dan's almost a sure thing. We'll look at a few parlays at the end of the show, help you parlay your way through this fight card. And then obviously Ken Sekeletu versus Nkosi Toisa. Now that one is an absolute given. That one I don't think Toisa pretty much stands a chance. I think he's 0-2. He's 0-2 going up against 3-0. So those odds definitely make sense in the Toisa versus Sekeletu fight. So if you're looking for another easy win, maybe go Sekeletu in the first strikes. The more specific you get, the better the odds. That's I think definitely some odds I'll take on that fight. Other fight is Edson Machavani and Saladin Blaiki's Edson Machavani. Very good odds there. 3.9. Once again, I'll take him submission in the second, and that'll be some good money on Edson Machavani. Now, my fight of the night prediction. Despite those ridiculous odds, very, very skewed in the favor of Igu Kabesa, I still think these guys are going to give us a fight of the night. Whether it be a short fight or a long fight, it is going to be a smash, bash, beat his ass. Oh, I can't wait. So for me, this is definitely my prediction for the fight of the night. Although, like I said, the other two fights would definitely be Billy the Kid, Oosthuizen versus Sibusiso Sombele. And then Intan's Warrior versus Becky Noble. Those three fights, but specifically this one, I think are definitely fight of the night. This one, guaranteed money on it. Ching ching. I should get a money bell. Yeah, at the end of prediction of fight of the night, I'm gonna get myself a money bell. But ching. I just use my mouth. Let's see. Now, betting tips. Now, thanks to World Sport Betting, we do have access to parlays from our EFC. No, listen to me. Our EFC former double champ and current UFC middleweight champion Rickus du Plessis and our former middleweight champion Luke Michael. Now, they put together odds for World Sport Betting, and they put it out for people like me, you, and everyone else to have a look and say, hey, let's see how these parlays work. And they have some very, very nice parlays in there. But the one that I want to single out very specifically, my favorite, the one that I'm most likely going to go for, that gives me comfort that it's likely, is the one from DDP. Drickus still knocks du Plessis. He's got Sekeletu, Machavani, Morel, and Cabeza for 2.6 back new money if all four of them win. I like those odds because if you look at the odds, they definitely favor that. Malenga is got a 4-point spread. Machavani's got a 2-point spread. And Sekeletu's got another 3-point spread. So those fights are almost given that they're going to go the way that he has predicted here. So I really like those fights. Those 4 fights, definitely, if you want to parlay, take those fights for 2.6 back. I mean, easy money. Another one I will point out is Justin Clark and Thando Zondi and Machavani for 2.10. Those are fairly good odds. Those ones, those 4 fights, once again, looking at those odds, you're likely going to win. That parlay is definitely most likely going to come through. So have a look at World Sport Betting. These odds might change. Currently, that's where they're sitting. I say take Ken Sekeletu and Edson Machavani, Big Morel, Anthony Morel, and Igor Smiley, the GOAT Cabeza, for your money at EFC 115. And that's the show for tonight. That is the prediction show for EFC 115. To everyone listening, I look forward to seeing you on Thursday, EFC 115, 11th of July, Thursday. Oh, I just can't wait. I mean, that card is just like, it's giving me palpitations. I mean, that main event, that fight between Smiley Cabeza and Humphrey Malenga is just going to be, it's going to set the bar for what a promotion should be and what the promotion can achieve. Because if Smiley wins, he is rubber stamped, as I said to him when we had the interview. He is rubber stamped as the GOAT, not just the featherweight GOAT, the GOAT. If we're talking African MMA across the entire board, and then there's quite a few amateur champions who got like 20 and like a ton of amateur fights, but he literally just I'm even losing my words, but rubber stamp as the GOAT. And if Mulenga can manage to beat Cabeza, I mean, he literally becomes the legend killer. He becomes the one who beat Smiley. So for me, no matter what happens in that fight, the stakes and the odds are so high that you can't miss it. It literally becomes that gold standard for what we want MMA in South Africa, MMA in Africa to be, where fighters can elevate themselves to these levels that just get them seen everywhere and gets the promotion scene, because these fights are so high stake. But thank you to everyone listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe at Headgate Pod on all platforms. Shout out to the Rambling Dad podcast. Shout out to the Fight Week show. Catch us tomorrow again on the Dust Up Shakedown with the Fight Week show. Jordan, catch you on MMA Twitter. Shout out everyone. And as always, if you're having troubles in life, or you're having a good time in life, or heck, you just don't have anything to do, don't forget to kick him in the head.